Yeah, as I started recording, you left.
Oh, shit, sorry, man.
It's all good.
All right.
All
So
right.
let's try that again.
Okay, let's try that again. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, good evening, or good whatever it is, wherever you are watching this right now. My name's Colin Sterling, the creator, and I'm here with Adam. He is the creator of Kitchener MetalFest, right?
That's right. You are correct, sir.
Oh, yay, I'm not wrong about my facts finally. The first question I want to ask you is a pretty simple one. How long has Kitchener MetalFest been around?
This will be year number 7, actually. So it's been going for a little while. It's really starting to pick up, steam and recognition, and we really don't have a hard time finding bands or sponsors anymore like we did at the beginning. So it's really come a long way.
Well, that's good. And actually, speaking of that, one of the questions I did have to ask you was, over the years, has how difficult was it to get bands to come back or to come when you first started to now?
Bands wasn't too hard. I think when it comes to metal, bands are down to play. They just want to, play live shows and feel that kind of energy rush of being in front of a live crowd. But as for sponsors, it was a bit of a different story. They hear the cause, they want to jump on board right away, but I think they're kind of hesitant when it comes to the whole heavy metal factor. You show up with, a nice poster with a big ass skull on it, and you want to say that you're, you're trying to raise some money for the cancer center. It took a pretty good pitch at the beginning to get their attention and get them on board. But now we've got the reputation with the hospital, with venues, and with sponsors. So it happens almost immediately. They're saying yes before I can even finish my pitch nowadays.
That's awesome. Now, what made you want to do a festival to help raise awareness for cancer, especially with the metal scene?
Well, I've been a long time metal guy, and it actually started the first year. A promoter gathered up a group of 5 bands, and he did the whole "you need to sell tickets," and then he canceled the show right at the last minute. So before all the bands handed in their money, I kind of went around to them and asked them if they would still want to put the show on if I kind of took over. So they said they were all on board, and then we just took that negative thing and turned it into a positive by turning it into a fundraiser. So the first one was at Chris Lid's Theater here in Kitchener, and that's kind of where it all stemmed from. Was a unfortunate event that we kind of flip flopped into something much more positive.
That's awesome. Now, over the years, with the crowds, I'm assuming getting bigger and bigger, what's your reaction every time you just see it every year getting more and more bigger?
It's extremely satisfying, actually. It's a ton of work going into it. I bet you I put in, at least 100 hours between, designing the poster all the way to being at the event and running all over the place and helping with people. But it's just, watching everybody have a good time. We usually have some prizes, so everybody's all over the raffle prizes, checking them out, and it really helps our sponsors. So it's just people helping people, and then sitting back and watching that actually take place. It's fantastic.
I'm sorry about the meowing. My cat decided to come in want
That's no.
attention.
He knows there's somebody else talking in the room, so right, he's got to get his fair share of the pets.
Yes. Now, I'm assuming that in all 7 years, you've had a couple of venue changes. If not, how difficult or how easy was it to be at one venue the previous year and then find a new one to the next year?
Um, it's it can be a bit of a change, of course, for sure, when you're used to one layout and then having to kind of approach it a different way at another. But I think for the most part, it has worked out for the better. Being at Maxwell's where we are now, as much as I loved being at the Wax there, that's a lot of stairs to have to carry gear up. Especially at the end of the night when everybody's tired and ready to go home, there's several flights of stairs that you need to come down. Whereas as Maxwell's, it's a beautiful event. It's always very, very clean, very tidy. The staff is very, very genuine and kind to everybody, and people just usually just roll their gear in, no lifting involved. There's an actual door for the bands to come in and out, so it's actually set up as a proper venue, where I think the other one was more just like a nightclub setting.
Okay. Okay.
So I think in the long run it's worked out for the better. It took a little bit more leg work to find it and work out a deal, but Paul Maxwell is a fantastic guy, and he big hand, to him for bringing all the music into this town that he does, including some of the metal.
Awesome. Awesome. Now, over the years, you've probably had multiple different headliners. Bands come and go. Some bands come even more than once. Who was the most memorable that you've seen live at the Kitchener Metal Fest?
Oh, that's a tough one. We did have Varga come out one year, and I'm not sure how familiar you are with that band or Dan himself, but he was on the drum kit for that band, and I think he's actually moved to vocals now. But they were extremely high energy. It brought a very, very diverse crowd. They're a little bit older than I am, so we had everybody from the range of, my son was there one year, so I think he was 8 at the time, but we brought him in just for one of the bands. He came, I think I played that year actually. And so we had like an 8-year-old, 10-year-old, and then all the way up to, about 60. So we had such a wide range of metal fans there. It was just amazing to watch them come together. And, of course, everybody's in such a good mood at metal shows. You don't have to worry about people fighting. People get that out in the pit for the most part. So
Yeah, no, I did my first Wall of Death at an Invicta album release party at the Boathouse,
oh yeah,
and I wasn't expecting it to be as crazy as it was, but yet everyone was always looking out for each other, and it was really cool and such a nice experience for someone doing it for the first time. Um,
absolutely.
yeah.
It
Now,
looks extremely intense, and it is extremely intense. But if you go down, there's usually there leaning over with a hand out, trying to get you back up.
yeah,
So
that really helps. Um, Now, for, we're gonna do something for the future. In 5 years from now, how much bigger would you like the event to be? And with that said, who of a bigger name would you like to headline?
actually, this year we were already discussing with some other, bigger acts, from the guys over in, Beyond Creation. Even chatted with the manager of Cryptopsy. So we could be going to a 2-day event next year already, or a 2-evening event, I should say.
Okay.
Um, and we're still kind of in the planning, but we're gonna have to get it started much earlier this year, as as it's growing double in size. There's going to be twice as much work to do. So yeah, as early as next year, we could be looking at it growing to 2 days. And there's never a shortage of bands. I think we had 32 bands submit, from all over Canada, a few from the States, Pennsylvania, Ohio, and then as far over, there's even one from Vancouver that we're looking to come out.
Wow.
So it's getting the range. It's getting bigger and bigger every year. Unfortunately, the date didn't work out for some of the bands this year. So we try not to have bands play more than 2 years in a row,
Hmm.
just as fairness to everybody else. It's very hard to choose bands each year, so we kind of base it off of many different things. Their interest in the show. A lot of the bands actually submit like some sort of story regarding their experience with cancer, whether it be a happy story. Unfortunately, it can often be a sad story, but it just gives them all that more reason to come play the show and raise that money to do what we can here at the Grand River Cancer Center. Um, so it's going to grow immensely, I would say, in the next 2 years. So yeah, we'll have to keep our eyes open for that. And that's kind of where it's at right now.
That is amazing, and I would definitely be looking forward to next year for a 2 day event. With you mentioning 2 days, with your festival, do you see it within the next 10 years, let's say, becoming more of an outdoor type thing?
It's definitely a possibility. We could definitely consider that. As you grow in size, the outdoors definitely becomes a little bit more appealing, as you can definitely fit more, and but then you have to worry about things like weather and stuff like that. So, we've been thinking about possibly doing multiple locations.
Oh,
So maybe do like a little bit of an outdoor session during the day on Saturday, and then move it indoors for the rest of it, or
hmm.
something similar like that. It's just about finding a location that would be proper for that. And of course, money flow and funding is always a factor as well.
Hmm. Um, oh, damn. Uh, uh, I'm sorry about this. I had a million questions planned, and now it's like, wait, what was the question I had?
No worries, man. I mean, if there's sponsors and stuff we could chat about, there's
Okay.
going to be like, I don't know, 6 to 8 different raffle prizes, various different things that people can come and buy, an arm length of tickets for like $5, and then they can just place it in and keep their half of the ticket until the end of the night when we actually announce all the winners. Um, but so far, I mean, we've got Different Strokes. They're the main funders of the show. They help us get going with, down payments and stuff like that to hold specific dates. Trying to get dates to work out between that many people can often be difficult. So, and then this year they're going to toss in some smoking devices, like a bong and a pipe or something like that.
Okay.
Um, Little raffle prize. Signature Vapes Plus on King Street as well in Waterloo. They are going to be donating two different kinds of vapes. One's more just like based for like the e-juices and like electronic cigarette, and then the other one's kind of based towards the cannabis side as well. I'm not a huge vapor, so I won't get into the names and stuff like that, as I don't know if I will have it down correctly. But they have some interesting names like the Voopoo Drag and the Pax 3 and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
Um, so yeah, we got everything from that, and then stuff like Mario Lopez, who actually did Invicta's album cover. He's
Oh,
going
okay.
to be donating a band logo design. So anybody who wins that raffle will be able to approach him with a certificate, and he's actually going to come up with a band logo design for them customly, which can often be very, very expensive. So if you've seen Invicta's album cover work, it's
Yes.
it's it's amazing. And if you've been on this gentleman's website, Mario Lopez is his name. It's absolutely phenomenal. He does everything from like pencil sketches to marker to some digital art. He covers a very, very wide range, and he has an extremely high talent. So I recommend checking out that. That's going to be an extremely popular item, I think, this year. Um, we have Long and McQuaid joining us again, and they're going to donate a nice high-end pair of headphones.
Oh.
People that enjoy music are going to be using headphones, and we have a lot of people in this area who also do recording. So that's also a bonus for when you're doing recording and mixing some songs and tracks together. Um, and then back again this year, we've got Descendants Brewery out on Victoria Street, and they donated last year, and they're doing it again this year. It's a brewery tour and tasting package for 8 people. So it's about like a $250 package. You get to go there. They often have games and stuff like that for you to play, and you get to just bring 7 of your buddies and go and check it out. It's a really neat place and very, very knowledgeable staff. So that's going to be another nail biter this year. That one was probably one of the highest of interest last year. And then we've got Shogun Tattoos in Cambridge. They're going to donate a couple 1 hour tattoo session gift
Okay.
certificates. So that's huge. They're joining us for the first time this year. And then last but not least, Guitar Corner. I'm not sure if you've heard of these gentlemen, but they have a nice custom store, and they do everything from guitar setup, guitar repairs, custom work on guitars, and they have a serious selection of guitars, basses. I keep saying it, but if you go in there, check out the glass case with the acoustics in it. They are just mesmerizing. I don't know where they got from, but they look like they've got some age to them. And yeah, they're going to be donating that guitar repair setup and a hoodie.
Wow.
So that's about 8 prizes, probably about $2,000 or so worth of prizes. So there'll be lots for people to walk out with this year.
That is amazing. Since you've been doing it for 7 years, are sponsors finally now donating you the gifts, or do you still have to go out of your way to find people to bring in a donation?
For the most part, all I do is kind of follow up with previous sponsors and ask them, I just give them a thank you, ask them if they'd be interested in returning back as a sponsor. And for the most part, they either say yes and already have something in mind to donate, or like you mentioned, they send an email asking when the show is going to be and if they, have any way that they can help again. In which, in most cases, there's always something that can be done. There's always work to be done, or people asking even just to volunteer too. So it's nice to have this, a little bit of a reputation now that we don't have to worry as much for these items, that people are just graciously, generously donating right to us.
Mm-hmm. Now, this one might be a bit off topic from the whole festival, but since you are from the Kitchener metal scene and you're a big part of it, I'm getting into the radio industry, and
Okay, yep.
I want your opinion on what if someday someone was to have a metal FM station in Kitchener.
I think that would be fantastic. I think there'd be a lot more people listening to the radio. um, I think that they need to have more variety of music on the radio if they want to have more listeners. They have stuff like the metal moment or something like that on radio stations, but
Mhm.
they really don't play it on a regular, or it's something that they would just play anyways, like a classic Metallica, or you get the occasional Slayer and Anthrax and stuff like that, Megadeth, but you don't really hear any death metal or something like
Yes.
that, right? It's always kept to that specific side where it's not quite singing, not quite screaming, right? It's more of
Yeah.
like a growl. So it'd be awesome to one day pick up the phone, throw it on, let's say like a Dave FM, and hear some soil work or something like that. The boys from Sweden or something like that. That would be absolutely amazing. Then you'd have me tuning in a lot more. That's for sure.
Now, I do this with every interview. It's a little game we play. It's called Thrasher Dash. The rules are simple. I'm gonna say either a band, not an artist. A band and the artist are the same thing. A band an album and a song. Um, now your options are thrash, you like it, or dash, you don't like it. You don't have to explain the reasoning behind it, but if you feel the need to, go right ahead, okay?
All right.
So speaking of Swedish death metal, let's start with Amon Amarth.
I thrash them. I like those boys, man. I've been a fan of them since day one. So um, that's you got my thrash on that for sure.
Um, Now one of the bands performing this year, let's talk about Raider and their debut EP, Urge to Kill.
That's a huge thrash on my part. I actually picked up their shirt last year at the show. I'm wearing it currently. You can't really see it right now. Sorry, my long hair. Um, but definitely thrash, man. And these guys are working on something else, and it's not going to disappoint. Not at all. And having them headline this year, uh, very excited. They're right here from Kitchener, and I think they have a big hand in, why metal is so popular in KW.
Awesome. And we're going to go to Montreal for this one. We're going to go with the big boys, Cataclysm and the Black Sheep.
I'm gonna go thrash on this. It's not my usual go-to, but definitely a thrash on that.
Awesome. And the last question I usually ask is a poser question to see if the person I'm talking to is a true metalhead or not. the
Let's
question
hear it.
is the question is very simple. Who would win in a fight? Lemmy or God?
Well, Lemmy is God.
Correct. Congratulations. I do not have prizes yet for people that get it correct, but I'm working on it in the end. Thank you again, Adam, so much for allowing me the opportunity to interview you about this wonderful festival happening July 13th in Kitchener. Where can we get the tickets?
All right, that's a great question. They are available online at Ticket Scene, and as of Monday, you will be able to get them at the Guitar Corner. You will be able to get them at Different Strokes. You will be able to get them at Signature Vapes, and then you can also, contact myself or email us at Kitchener Metal Fest, and we can get them to you as well. We have no problem doing some deliveries, so hit us up and we'd be more than happy to get those tickets to you. Sooner the better, as the tickets will go up a few bucks at the door. So grabbing them in advance would be the way to go.
Awesome. Now, is there any way of the people watching at home to get notified of more information about the event, like any socials they should follow?
The Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook are our main go-tos, so I would recommend keeping an eye on those. We might even start doing some ticket giveaways, so sooner the better that you keep an eye out for those. You can get yourself a free ticket with some questions like you kind of had previously there. So we could even talk about if you wanted to come to the show and interview a band or two there. Let me know. We could get you a press pass.
Actually, that would be helpful because I'm actually interviewing Devils by Definition and Chainfall.
Oh,
They,
nice.
yeah, I just figured, you know what? I'm trying to help promote anything Canadian metal because it's not promoted at all from any aspect, and I want to give everyone a chance and showcase what Canada really has. Because, to be honest, it's amazing what we have. Like last year, I just discovered Invicta, and just hearing the song "The Executioner" blew my mind and opened me up to this amazing world of great Canadian talent.
That's right. I think it gets very underrated and overlooked, and a huge shout out to.
Oh. Oh.